SASE has been very dynamic. It has been growing really fast. It has doubled its membership since 2008, and we have expanded beyond Europe and the US with regional conferences. So I think we are on a growth path and we are doing very well.
Yes, I think that one of the most exciting things about SASE now, building on what Akos just said, is that we're going to have our first major annual meeting in Asia next year in Kyoto, Japan, and I think that that's a really exciting and smart move for the association to start to draw in scholars from that growing part of the world. So I think it's a really interesting and exciting part of what's happening in SASE.
We have started the Finance and Society Network a couple of years ago, and this is already one of the biggest networks. We started it at a very, very good time in 2009, just after the financial crisis, and we have seen lots of good work being generated through the network. We can be selective, accepting submissions, and we also see lots of good new young people doing new research, and that is very, very encouraging.
Yeah, the Asian Capitalism's network, actually, it's more Sebastian Levachelier and Cornelia Storz and Tobias ten Brink, who are the masterminds of that network, but it parallels the growth of the Finance and Capitalism network. That it's one of the largest networks in SASE now, and it started in about 2009 or 2010. And it really draws in incredibly exciting work by scholars from all over the Pacific.
So I just want to say that one of our new initiatives is the Early Career Workshop, and where we bring in young scholars around the time when they finish their dissertation, and we give extra attention to the work, and they also get a chance to network with each other. And I've been very excited about this. This was the second year that we did that, and we hope to do this in the future. I think this is the best of times and the worst of times to be an economic sociologist, a social scientist in general, because basically the world became a much more unpredictable place, and lots of things that we had taken for granted for so many years now requires a re-examination. So I think anyone who has intellectual curiosity will find the current situation both very unsettling, but at the same time very exciting.
And I think it makes the conference a very exciting event, because people, not only in the context of the panels, but just in the receptions and in the hallways, there's a lot of great networking and animated discussion going on about what new kinds of ideas are and what sorts of theoretical streams are. I just had a conversation, ironically, with my colleague from the University of Chicago, Karen Norsatina, about the possibility of maybe having some outreach on the part of SASE to the 4S Association, and maybe try to have some social studies of science stuff happen in SASE and explore some of the linkages between economic sociology and social studies of science. I think that would be really exciting and really interesting. And there's a lot of interesting work being done both in Europe and in the United States on that, in that direction. So.
Yeah, so just as Gary says, the strength of our association is basically breaking down disciplinary barriers and bringing insights from further afield, and sort of mixing things and coming up with new ideas by connecting ideas from places like the study of science and technology, political science, sociology, economics, anthropology, management science,
organization, law. I mean, SASE is quite unique in the mix of disciplines that it brings together, and it really creates, it doesn't really create a discipline on its own, but it creates a terrain upon which a lot of very innovative work can be done. And I think the fact that it's able to sort of recompose itself in a way, like invent finance and society, finance and capitalism, finance and society, and Asian capitalisms, and then we have a global value chains network, which is also very dynamic. That's been going on for the last 4 or 5 years, and I mean, it brings together and it brings theory. I think it's the University of Chicago. It brings theory to areas that have a lot of dynamic empirical work, but that are the people who are working in those areas are often in the interstices of their disciplines, and so they're often eager to try to think outside of the boxes in which they are kind of forced to be in their disciplinary.